Hello, legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast, episode 293. We are just a week away from a round, lovely milestone of 300 episodes, and I can't believe that it's actually happening because it started as a private project, just to kind of keep myself accountable and build my own habit or routine. And knowing history, that many of my efforts were really fading away after a month or so, and none of them really stuck. I was really hopeful and strongly convinced that I will push stronger. Well, strongly push that I will keep stronger. Um, I strongly believed that I can sustain it for longer than usual, but there was always that doubt in the back of my head that it can fail again. And it's 300 days almost. It's 293, so I'm almost, I would say, 2 months away from the round year or 12 months of doing it, which is quite surreal, to be honest, especially if you consider all the things that happened on the way that were almost 99%, the breakers or showstoppers for that. I had multiple situations where I had, when I was full day out of home, and I was really worried that my schedule won't allow to record any episode. And some of you already know because you're watching, but those of you that don't and are new to this episode or blog, or just watched just a few of the episodes or read a couple of blog posts, you probably don't know that, you know, doing journaling with the blog and the podcast on a daily basis, like anything else, it's very hard to do and keep as a streak. Maintain it without the break. And you don't know probably about my start, which was really, I would say, cringe. And this podcast still is kind of cringe because I'm far from being an expert or even skillful person in recording podcasts or speaking or writing, but I learn, and that's the whole point, to take an action. I know it's cliche a little bit because everyone tries to tell you to, you just need to take action. Well, yes and no, because taking action is one thing, but sustain it is probably the hardest part in any routine or habit. And in particular for those people that are not organized or are not used to doing anything in an ordered fashion and keeping it, going every single day or very regularly in a pattern, like every second day or every week. And that was me. And it still is, because I still have chaotic approach to many other things than this. But this keeps me hopeful and accountable, and progressing towards something better, I think. Maybe I'm lying to myself, but I hope not. Yeah, so it started cringe, very cringe, because the first couple of posts and podcast was really about just doing something, to write a couple of lines on the blog and then read them in audio to create the podcast episode. So whatever you see right now, it's a loose format of a podcast, like most of the podcasts are, while initially it was only called podcasts and it was on the podcast platform, but in reality it was more of an audiobook version of what I was writing in the blog. And that was going for 199 days. Because on this day 200, I decided to do a big change under influence of my own thoughts, but also a deal breaker was a third party, or I would say external opinion and honest review of what I was doing. And while the blog was very genuine and was felt like that I'm writing it from my own personal experience and about my own things and in my own style, podcast was just reading line by line. And I felt myself for many, many months that, well, many, many months. Yeah, that was a couple of months, to be honest. Um, that it's too mechanical. I always wanted to add something in between the lines or say something differently, but because of the format that I stuck to, I was just reading it. And it was quite painful to feel it, to feel on the fence of changing it. But I was growing with that feeling of there is something that needs to change because it's too robotic. And that's exactly the word that I've heard from my friend Carlos on day 200 when I was in the office, that yeah, this blog is genuine and it feels good, but when it comes to podcast, it's like an audiobook, and a poor audiobook. It feels very robotic. Like if it wasn't your voice, I would think that AI is reading it. So I'm like, all right, time to change that. And he also was on the same thought that, more loose approach, like a proper podcast, I guess, conversational and thoughtful will be the good thing to start or test and see how it goes. And so here we are. So 199 episodes were pure audio, read like audiobook. Now we are 293, so about 93, 94 episodes are recorded in a format of the conversation, or rather monologue, that I express towards you as a listener. And depending on if you're listening only or watching as well, because you can watch my beautiful face, of course, on YouTube and on Spotify video, because Spotify podcast can also be watched in a video format if it was uploaded this way. So that's another thing. The video was something that I was really, really against. Well, I'd love to. Well, my wish was to create videos because I think videos are more expressive. You can you can say things and express things better, and the watchers can really feel that a little bit more. Audio itself is losing that visual element, and I always wanted to do video, but at the same time, equally or even more, I was feeling like I'm too cringe to do that, and I'm not built that way, and it will be very hard to learn. Even though I knew that it will be something that you need to practice, I thought that it would be difficult, cringe. I would say I felt shame, or kind of, that I shouldn't do that. But eventually, I did 2 or 3 episodes. Well, the first episode was in December that I've done a video, and I think I've done it probably, no, I actually done it myself, just alone. And you must see it. That's like, especially if you are on the fence like me, or you would like to start podcast and you think that people are just born to do it, or they are trained to do it first and then they start podcasts. Believe me, they are not. I saw a lot of well-known people, and you can check even Gary V podcasts when he shows the old YouTube videos from when he was reviewing wines or something like that. So that was really bad in terms of the good quality video, or professional video that you can see a lot on YouTube these days. but at the time, it was obviously something that was the only thing that was available to him, you know. So he just did it. He just kept doing it, and a lot of podcasters now, video podcasters, or people that are just recording video regularly, they might not have old videos on their channels because they recreated them, or it's they're so far in the game and improved a lot and evolved a lot that they don't want to show them. I don't know why. Some people might be a little bit ashamed, or they just don't want that because it doesn't fit their cleanliness of the channel. I think it's cheap a little bit. It's history. It's a very important experience, and when person removes that from their history or tries to wipe it or hide it, they lose authenticity, and that's what I don't want to do. And my first episode was in December. I recorded in that, you know, like what they call it, almost the wife beater style shirt, which was so cringe. I looked like I just woke up from some party, you know, and just sat down and recorded video. But I knew that this will be like something that I'll hold on to if I keep going for X amount of years. That will be like a holy grail to me, something to remember. And it is, to be honest, it's just 293 days, but it feels like a long time as well if I look at the videos from previously. So was single video in 2022, despite the fact that there was multiple, you know, episodes of the podcast and blog posts. And the next two episodes were with Julian, my son, and they were also kind of random. One in February somewhere, I believe, and another in March or something like that. But at some stage, I just decided, okay, I'll do another one. And then the next day, I said, well, I might as well do another one in a row, so I'll have two of them in a row. And I just kept going. So this one is number 71, and I recorded 71 video episodes total. If you exclude 3 or 4 that were randomly scattered at the beginning, then it's about 67, 68 episodes in a row, which is again a habit or routine that I keep saying or talking about, but I just realized that I forgot that this is another habit that got built on top of what I already do, even though I wasn't planning on or thinking about it. So yeah, this episode is about spotting the new habit when you don't realize that you have it, really. So 293 blog posts, 293 audio tracks or episodes of the podcast, of which 71 are video podcasts. So this was a long reminder for those of you who are new to the channel, and well, not reminder for those of you who are not new to the channel, but was summary for those of you who are new to the channel. This episode, like any other, will be mostly about the update of the day. But as I said a couple of days before, I start with some, I would say, explanation / thoughts, or maybe some value for people, like showing them, for example, what to start or how to start, or how I started, just to kind of give that motivation and inspiration that you don't need fancy camera or fancy microphone and fancy setting to start this game of podcasting. And here we are. This is a room that is, you can see, it's very dark. Usually my videos are a little bit brighter because I record them either in the other room or during the day, so you know the lighting is better. At the moment is 22:43, which is 10:43 p.m., almost 11 p.m., which is very late. Quite unusual recently because I kept doing episodes recently to fairly in the daylight conditions. But yeah, the camera is the built-in camera in the MacBook, and the microphone is, guess what, built-in microphone in the MacBook, despite the fact that I have this, a proper podcast built microphone with, that foamy thing to ensure that there's no crackling of the voice, even the shield, and USB-C powered. I tested it and I felt like it's not what I want. I want this to be a journal, a daily thing. I don't want to be shiny, well, smooth, and lighted properly and professionally cut and edited podcast. There's plenty of them. So I might as well do this. Of course, I will improve and I want to improve, but I don't have enough expertise to set my microphone to even match what MacBook microphone is doing. It's so well optimized that I compared them a couple of times and they are no match. Well, this sort of, maybe not professional, but dedicated microphone for podcasting is not even a slight match to this one. So here we are, simple laptop with the camera, microphone, usual room where I work, and here we go. It's a podcast. So, as usual, now it's time for updates from today. The day was quite, maybe not on the dull side, it was quite active, but started surprisingly shocking because there is a weird front coming in terms of weather through Donegal and Ireland, and it became so windy in the morning that we thought that it may be some bloody hurricane or something like that because the winds were so strong. It blew open the balcony. We were covered with because we have like a big curtain that just flew over the bed and made a lot of noise. The door slammed because of the draft. So it started very windy. My wife was afraid to go to the garden, to the shed, to take her kind of hula hoop for her morning routine. And yeah, so it started quite weird. We stayed at home. We did our own things. There was a couple of rainy spells, but overall it was quite dry, and the wind slowly started fading away to the point that it was bearable, and the sun came up in the middle of the day around midday. So we decided to pack things up, and we went to our lovely spot in Bundoran with our surfboards. So we did cliff walk as usual, but we extended it to another part of cliff walk that we didn't know about in Bundoran, West End. So the total walk is about, I don't know, it's probably 2 kilometers or 2.5 kilometers to the bridge from Tulan Strand, and then another 3 or 4 kilometers. So yeah, you have about 6.5 if you do the whole stretch. But we didn't do the west end to the very end. But we turned around when we had 4 kilometers for something on the clock. So as we were back to Tulan Strand car park, we had around 8.5 kilometers, and then obviously we dressed up. Julian and Elizabeth got wetsuits on and took one of the boards and went down the hill to the beach, which is another, about kilometer in low tide or so, or even slightly more. So until they were getting to the water as I was approaching them with another board and the bag, even though I was sitting in a car and doing a couple of things and writing back to my brother. So you can imagine it's quite a walk, and I was in the shoes. Julian was bare feet, so they had to take time to get off the hill because it's quite with a little bit of stones and pebbles, so it's not pleasant to walk on. But eventually, yeah, we spent a lot of good time there. Both Julian and Elizabeth enjoyed the waves. The waves were very cool. And then afterwards, when Elizabeth went out, she took my glasses and the phones that I used to capture some of their attempts to surf, and I went with Julian for, I don't know, probably half an hour at least in the water. We caught a couple of good waves, but I am yet to learn how to stand properly and surf the waves. I was able to do that 2 or 3 times to the extent that I was a good couple of seconds actually surfing, but then I fell. I lost balance while Julian is getting quicker into it, and he's definitely lighter on that kind of size of board, and he understands waves better already because he was on the surf camp and he had a lot of experience with it. Well, a lot of experience with experienced guys. So, that was definitely worth it. It was 5 days, almost 2.5 hours with instructors there. So he definitely is well ahead of myself and Elizabeth in terms of understanding surfing, and you can see the difference. Afterwards, we just took some takeaway because we didn't want to spend time in the kitchen. It was too late to start cooking, and so here we are. Elizabeth is doing couple of things before bedtime. Julian is, I think, he's finishing playing console because he participated in some championship or whatever competitive part in Rocket League on PS4, and I'm recording this. So that was our day. Tomorrow is a good day because we start in driving to Ballybofey, and Julian is playing last competitive development league match against Ballybofey, and we'll see how it goes. And then we will probably plan something to do for the rest of the Sunday, which I will report on tomorrow. So this is it for today. I'll be wrapping up. I hope you had a great day. I appreciate really you listening for so long, whoever got this far, and spending your time on listening to my journal. It's what it is for, and the more people can watch it, the more sense it makes to me to create it. But even if I'm alone there, I will be doing that because that's my accountability thing. But again, if I can do that for more than myself and even give a small bit of value to others, this is more beneficial and more worth it. So I hope you get something out of my episodes, and stay tuned for tomorrow. See ya.